Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Our Liberty Ambassador Council program just returned from Israel with a group of 50 people. It was a phenomenal event. If you haven't been to Israel, you need to go with us sometime on the Liberty Ambassador Council program and tour. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Shawn Akers, vice president of Middle Eastern Affairs for Liberty Counsel. And Shawn, we were just in Israel not long ago. It seems like so much has happened just in that time because we crammed so much in that time period that we were there. But it's part of Liberty Ambassador Council, Liberty Council's program, to bring people to Israel with the twin goals of strengthening your Christian faith and equipping you to become a goodwill ambassador of Israel. Now, the question is, do you think that it was actually successful? Did it accomplish those goals?
You know, Matt, there are successes and then there are those slam dunks that go so far beyond what anybody expected. And it seems that every time we go to Israel, this happens. When you talk about preparing goodwill ambassadors, people need to know just how substantive that is. The people that went with us on this trip had connections with governmental officials, with all of the things that some people read about them on the headlines. Our group was in the middle of them. They learned on a level that is still mind-boggling to me that we had the opportunities that we had for those individuals.
Well, you know, it's phenomenal to visit Israel, and it is unlike anything else. One of the people in our group, in fact, several people, as we were coming from the airport on the first night we arrived, and we're driving into Jerusalem, and we sing the song, or the song is playing on the music, Jerusalem. It brought tears to people's eyes, and that was the beginning of a phenomenal 10 days in Israel. And it didn't stop. I mean, when you're right there at the Mount of Olives and you're overlooking the last 24, 48 hours of the life of Jesus, all right there within eye viewing, right there with the Mount of Olives, the Garden of Gethsemane, the Kidron Valley, going up the side into the Old City, and the Caiaphas' house, Antonio's fortress, where Jesus was also taken and tried and beaten, and all of that was within eyeshot. Within the last 24, 48 hours of Jesus' life, it all happened there. And then for us then to experience that, going from place to place, and then going to the Galilee and the Tiberias area, in Capernaum, where he grew up and where he ministered most of his life, and to actually be in a location where we know for a fact it is Capernaum. And we know for a fact that's where Peter and his mother-in-law lived, and this is where Peter's mother-in-law would have been healed by Jesus. This is not a probable site. This is the definitive Capernaum, where Jesus grew up, or Jesus visited, and where he called Matthew, the tax collector, to be one of his disciples. It's phenomenal, and it's literally life-changing in a way nothing else is.
You know, it was, Matt, on more than one account, both in substance. The people that went on that trip are going to walk away with an understanding of U.S. policy toward the state of Israel, of Israel's policies toward its neighbors, all the substantive things that we read about. They walk away with a full three-dimensional understanding, but at the same time, we got to stand on the shore where Christ, we know. You know, we had, of all the people that could have led those tours, you put together a tour that was based out of expertise. And the tour guide that did that was so knowledgeable that we knew exactly when we were standing on a site that could be the site, and we were standing on a site that was archaeologically proven to be the site. And to know that we were standing in places where Jesus taught in the temple, taught in the synagogue, and where he called people just like us to drop our nets and to be about his business, I'll tell you, it was moving on so many levels that it's still a little hard to put into words.
Well, in fact, and then in addition to all of those sites, we brought in people like Sheldon Schulman, and Ken Blackwell was with us as well. We had students, we had people of adults' age that were with us. And Ken encapsulated that. It was one of our first speakers on Monday night after the day of touring. And he put together a presentation that was the clearest I've ever heard with regards to the complexity of the Middle East, with respect to not only the Sunni-Shia conflicts, but also the tribal conflicts that happen from one nation to the next. And as a Western mind, not understanding that, thinking that this is just like the West, it's not. And if you go in there with a misunderstanding, you'll have failed policies. We've had some failed policies because we just don't understand that complexity and that makeup. Then we also had the Holocaust survivor who was a friend of Anne Frank from childhood until Anne went into hiding. And then they ended up, amazingly, at the same concentration camp, Bergen-Belsen. And they're on opposite sides of the wall, and they can't see each other, but they can talk to each other. And one day, Anne doesn't show up. Well, we now know that Anne died of typhus there in that camp. The lady that came and spoke to us, Hannah, she ultimately was able to come out alive, and she's still alive, and she came in a living, breathing human being who survived the Holocaust.
You know, Matt, our guest on that trip got to sit with a lady who brought lunches to Anne Frank's and threw them over the fence to her.
Yeah.
We sat with her and
in the
visited with her
concentration camp, yeah.
about the realities of Bergen-Belsen, about the realities of the Holocaust, about the potential for those type travesties happening again in our world.
And when she was asked the question, do you think this could happen again, she didn't hesitate. Yes. Because of what she sees happening in Israel particularly. We also see it happening in the United States and around the world, where people are demonized, and ultimately people want to just simply consider you non-human. And that's what ultimately happened in Nazi Germany. They were considered non-humans, and therefore they were expendable. We see that happening in Israel. We see that happening around the United States. And it was phenomenal, not only that, but we also got a chance to hear and actually be on a military base. And that was a military base from which they actually launch the jets to take out the weapons that were going through Syria, or to take out the Iraqi nuclear reactor. This was a strategic military base, and we're there getting a briefing from a fighter pilot who trains fighter pilots in the same room where the fighter pilots are briefed and debriefed. We're getting that briefing with these videos and everything else from a trained expert. And that just does not happen on any trip. Very few people, very, very few people, civilians, have an opportunity to do what we did in that military base and be able to have that kind of experience.
And then to follow that up with detailed lectures by people like Alex Bly, Dr. Alex Bly, that take us into the depths of the history of U.S.-Israeli relations, U.S. Middle East policy, and see on the ground what it really means for the actions that we take in Washington, D.C., that they affect real lives of real people in other places.
Yeah, there was a conversation we had about Kissinger, and
Absolutely.
Was he supportive of Israel or not, even though he was a Jew. And Alex has done research firsthand at the Library of Congress. He's gotten the information from firsthand of of how Kissinger, what he said with regards to that. He didn't want to intervene to help Israel during the time when they had the war of 1973. And it was Iran, believe it or not, it was Iran that actually helped Israel with weapons and aircraft, not the United States. They stayed back on the sidelines and eventually joined when it looked like they were winning, but it was Iran. It was the Shah. And then, of course, Jimmy Carter betrayed the Shah when the uprising took place, and they had a coup, and the Shah had to flee. The United States didn't stand by our ally, which stood by Israel. And now what do we have? We've got this maniac system right now in Iran with Ahmadinejad, who wants to take out Israel and wipe them off the map, and then also the United States of America. Our policies have consequences that ripple through history, and that was an enlightening discussion that Alex led us in. So, you know, we could go on and on, Shawn. I mean, the experiences that you and I shared and with the rest of the group. But I encourage you to go to libertyambassadorcouncil.com or lc.org, libertyambassadorcouncil.com or lc.org, to learn more about our future trips to Israel. We'll be going back to Israel in May of 2014. If you have an interest in going to Israel, I would encourage you to put it on the calendar now. We'll give you the specific dates. You can call 800-671-1776, but make it a point to go. It literally is life-changing, both from a spiritual perspective, but you also come away equipped to be a goodwill ambassador for Israel because you see not only the land and the system and the people, but you get information that no other group, no other tour will actually provide. Go to Liberty Counsel's website for more information. Support Liberty Counsel with your prayers and your financial support. You can make contributions online or call us at 800-671-1776 for more information.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.